Welcome back, Guardians. Sorry it's been so long since I posted. I've been sick and still trying to get over it, but it was just time to get this video out of the way while this is still the Nightfall, the Tree of Probabilities. This build is going to be not a solo build, but it's going to be meant for the Slayer role on a team build. Whenever I was doing the Master solo, I wasn't able to do it because my light is too low to kill the overload champions at the boss before they start getting their health back. So if you're on a team, or if you're like 990 and higher light, it won't be a problem for you, but when you're at like 976 or 978, it was a problem. So make sure you're with the team. That's what this build is all built for. It's going to be built for mods such as attrition or togetherness or anything where your health recovery basically doesn't exist. And it's also going to be built for overload champions, which means you're going to be using solar subclass. This works for a Titan, a Hunter, or a Warlock. But if you're on a Warlock, I recommend doing the bottom tree because of the Phoenix Dive property. It not only helps with the boss, but it helps in situations like this where you have no health and you can do Phoenix Dive and not only pop your super to negate damage, but you get your health back when you do Phoenix Dive. And then this entire massive area of ads is perfect for this because every ad you kill with the bottom tree, it refills your super meter back up. So you can slay all these ads, no problem at all. But the main benefit is that the boss, when he can stomp you off the map and you can get your health back and prevent yourself from getting blasted off that map. So I'll recommend doing Phoenix Dive when you're doing the Slayer role on the team. Now let's go over the stats. You'll see that I'm using Verity's Brow, and my health recovery is only at a 4. And that's the only time you'll ever see me at low health recovery because attrition's on, it's not going to matter that much anyways. So I'm just focused on my mobility value, and I'm focused on my grenade to get that back for the overload champions. I'm not going to be using overload weapons. And then the other stats, my resilience is not going to matter at all. If you watch my resilience video, you really just need minor and major resist or boss resist. That's going to help you in PvE combat. Resilience is for PvP. Now let's hop into the actual build. I'll break it down and explain everything that helps me in this build and why it's perfect for not only this Nightfall, but for the Slayer setup on any team that you're going to be on, for any Nightfall that consists of having attrition or togetherness on. Starting off with Verity's Brow, I'm using 2 fusion rifle ammo finders because when it comes to the Slayer role, fusion rifle is just going to take the cake. You get plenty of range damage, you have a lot of damage in general, there's more accuracy, there's more agility. It's better than a shotgun basically because you're not as much risk. You can do sweep kills, just things like that. And having 2 fusion rifle ammo finders, make sure you have plenty of ammo to go around. We're also going to be talking about things like special finisher later on as we get to other parts of the build. Even though I'm going to be on a Warlock in this video, earlier I said this build works the same for a Hunter and a Titan, and what I mean by that is if you're going to be on the solar subclass for the overload champions, for a Titan, I recommend Hollow Fire Heart. Your abilities regen faster and even faster whenever you have a super. And then for the Hunter, I recommend using Frosty E5. Sprinting causes ability recharge, so you can get your dodge back and things like that. So just apply the same stats, the same mods and perks to your armor, and the builds are going to be identical, except for the fact that you're going to be on a Titan and a Hunter and have Hollow Fire or Frosty E5. But as far as the purpose of the build and what it'll do, it'll function relatively the same as it will with Verity's Brow. Actually, probably better because Verity's Brow is going to be slower than the Hollow Fire Heart, and possibly slower depending on what tier you are for your grenade on a Hunter, but I recommend those exotics if you're going to be using those class Guardians. So even though I'm going to be on a Warlock in this video, that's how you can apply it to the Hunter and Titan. So let's get back into this build and go to the gauntlets now. So the next mod you're going to put on will be Powerful Friends. When you become charged with light, anybody around you also becomes charged with light, but to get the plus 20 mobility, you need to apply another arc mod to make that active. So I recommend using a pulse rifle loader, even though I don't recommend using a pulse rifle for a Slayer loadout. It only costs 1 energy and you can get that plus 20 mobility. And then put a major resist on. That's going to be your first of 2 major resist. And then on top of that, enhanced rifle loader because I recommend fusion rifle and an anti-barrier explosive round scout rifle. We'll talk more about the weapons later, but just copy those mods and the stats on the armor as close as you can to get your stats built back up. For the chest piece, I recommend stacks on stacks. Anytime you become charged with light, it adds a plus 1, so a times 1 equals a times 2, and then Molten Overload because you're going to be using that for the overload champions. And I don't have the energy unlocked quite yet, but if I did, I would be putting Disruptor Spike to make the disruption effect even better, so the overload champions or any enemy in general that gets hit with a grenade doesn't hit you with as much damage. And then on top of that, your second major resist mod. If you don't know what the major resists are doing, I made a video specifically dedicated to major resist and minor resist and resilience. The boss fight in this Nightfall is really the most important thing to build out for, and that's why I chose 2 major resists, because these overload champions and the champions in general hit a lot harder than the minors do, and I had no room for minor resist, so it was either 2 minor resist or 2 major resist, and that little pinch of health is exactly about what 2 major resists add, and you'll find that to be way more helpful when it comes to your health being turned off, so I recommend the 2 major resist. It doesn't really matter what armor pieces you choose to put these mods on, but for my legs I'm using Protective Light, but I know you can't use that with Frosty E5, so you might need to use that on your chest piece or whatever. But Protective Light, when your shield gets busted, it gives you a ton of resilience, and because of us using stacks on stacks, every time we get a ×1, it equals a ×2, and that lets us have a ton of resilience for 9 seconds, as opposed to around 4 to 5 if you only have a ×1. And then I'm going to be using Traction for that +5, or actually +15 more mobility points, the hidden 10, and then a Grenade Charge mod to go with my Verity's Brow, or my Hollow Fire, or my Frosties, to build my Grenade Charge back up to get that back even faster. Now for the final armor piece, the class item. I'm using Quick Charge, so 2 or more kills will give me a Charge of Light, but since we're using stacks on stacks, it's going to be a ×2 Charge of Light, which is going to go with the Protective Light, giving us that 9 seconds of resilience. If you want to unlock Quick Charge's second perk to give you faster ready and draw speed, that's on you, but I recommended using Special Finisher and not Explosive Finisher. After testing the build and then running and gunning with it, I found it to be way more important to have special ammo instead of that second perk unlocked. I have my grenade in plenty of time because of the exotic that I'm choosing and building with, so I don't really recommend the Explosive Finisher and just go with that special. And it's also important to know to hold your grenade when you know an Overload champion is going to be coming up, so don't ever waste your grenade and then try to rely on Explosive Finisher to get it back. Just, it's all about building and timing it out. When it comes to your primary weapon, I recommend an anti-barrier, obviously because there's anti-barrier, but definitely explosive rounds. And if you want to talk about a pro scout rifle, the Mulligan explosive round with the pinned mag for 17 rounds is the pro roll in my opinion. It's not just a god roll, I think it's a professional roll in my opinion. And explosive rounds, if you didn't know, when it comes to incinerators only, explosive rounds go underneath their shield, so you can actually blow them up without needing a void weapon. You might see an occasional Minotaur in the Infinite Forest, but I only saw that like once or twice. But this situation right here, these shots from Mulligan, I get 2 of these shots refunded back to the magazine, so it leaves me with 9 in the magazine, and that 9 in the magazine was perfect to kill this ad right here. If I wouldn't have got those back, I might have had to reload and then take more damage off, and with attrition and things like that, you don't want to be in that kind of situation. Mulligan, there's just 100 million situations I can talk about Mulligan and how just useful it is. Hit fire hop shots when you're bouncing around targets and just getting all that splash damage refunded. And then right here, when you have to like turn and shoot these snipers and you're being chased by the boss, if the boss hits you one time with that blast, because of the mods on this Nightfall, it'll kill you instantly. So having that refunded back just when you're having to jump and just shoot on the fly and you can't be that accurate, in harder activities, especially in this Nightfall, when you're getting chased by the boss, Mulligan is just really appreciated when you just don't have time to reload and you got to keep running, getting shots refunded, such as this situation right here, the ad to the left. I didn't even see him until last second, but when you do these hop shots like these, that splash damage gets refunded back to the magazine. I know a lot of players like the rapid hit and stuff like that, but if you're a running gunner and you don't have time to hit rapid hit and things like that, Mulligan is just always going to be there for you to give you rounds constantly back to your magazine, whether it's splash damage or missed shots or anything where you can't be that accurate, which happens a ton in aggressive combat. In my opinion, all scout rifles shoot great at long range, and this DLC you have enhanced rifle loader to go with it that you can use on majority of armor builds, so in my opinion, having rapid hit is kind of just a wasted perk. I mean, scout rifles are accurate at range, but when you're on the fly and you can't be that accurate, that's when you really need rounds refunded to your magazine when you're playing hyper aggressive and in hard, difficult activities. Now when it comes to my energy weapon, you may not have this role, but I recommend a made ingredient over a loaded question when it comes to my arc choice. The reason why I don't like loaded question is because when you speed kill and run and gun, reservoir burst, speed killing with other fire team members on your team, it's just not going to be proc that often. And the fact that an 860 charge rate is not only slow and the handling of loaded question is slow, but the damage isn't needed majority of the time on 95% of ads. A 700 charge rate will kill an ad in the same amount of shots as an 860, with the exception of like yellow bars and harder boss targets. I need all this movement accuracy more than anything, and I don't have time to sit there and wait on an 860 charge speed, especially when the damage is not even needed. There's a ton of situations where like I just won't be able to land shots with loaded question when I'm moving certain ways and in odd angles where I can't just sit there and line it up all perfectly, especially in close range targets when enemies are moving by real quick. It's not that loaded question sucks, it's just it's not a run and gun weapon, and it can't be helped because of the stats in that weapon and the balancing that it has. It's just more of a support class weapon and speed kill, such as this shot right here where I had to turn quick and shoot. I don't have time to sit there and wait on an 860 charge rate, and not only that, having to stick your neck out that much longer because of the charge rate makes you take more damage over time. And there's the Phoenix Dive, negating the blast from the boss stomping me. The more movement you add with Loaded Question, the less accurate it becomes. So during the boss fight with all these ads, being able to hop sideways and remain on target and be just that much more accurate, and the fact that it's perfect amounts of damage, I don't need overkill damage to kill red bar targets like right here. Jumping down, just knock him out real fast. There's 100 situations where main ingredient will just outslay a Loaded Question and kill out from under it because it doesn't have to take an 860 charge time to do damage that wasn't needed in the first place. Here's another situation of this right here. It's going to still take the same number of shots whether I'm using Loaded Question or this main ingredient. It's still going to take 5 shots, but getting it off that much quicker allows me to take less damage and not have to stick my neck out that much longer to take even more damage, which can often cause trades with enemies where you'll kill them but they'll kill you at the same time. And I don't need that in my loadout. I need agility and accuracy with the perfect amount of damage. Here's another example of this right here, where I don't have an extra second to sit there and wait on the slow charge rate when it was going to take the same amount of shots to begin with. I could have been boomed by one more shot, which would have killed me. So that just goes back to having the perfect amount of damage mixed with the perfect amount of agility. And that's what makes great speed kill weapons, when you have that perfect balance of both. Now, if you have a target lined up straight in front of you, Loaded Question is great at shots like that, but when it comes to like agile movement such as this shot right here, it might land them occasionally, but main ingredient is going to be way more consistent at those style shots, which when it comes to running and gunning and having to be more accurate and agile and just, you know, in safe mode more, that's where you're going to get with main ingredient versus a Loaded Question. And that's why I don't use Loaded Question, because a great weapon to me has great handling stats. The higher the handling, the faster movement and pace you can be in combat. And when it comes to a Loaded Question, the stats on it just prevent it from ever being a speed kill weapon. The damage a lot of the time isn't even needed, and it's all about balancing what you're going to be facing in combat, and there's really not a lot of combat situations where Loaded Question is going to be a greater choice. Now, if there was going to be a ton of yellow bars and nothing else, then Loaded Question might be a better contender, but combat just doesn't balance like that. It's, you know, you need more agility, more run and gun. You don't need to be sitting out and taking shots. You need to be able to just land shots on the fly however you need to land them and pull off those insane, like, odd angle shots, and those are the ones that you need to be more consistent at instead of those hard hitting shots that don't give you a lot of movement. So I'll remove weapons like that from my arsenal to increase my survival rate. It still gives me plenty of damage to still beast. And for the final weapon, I recommend Fine Memorial or any 450. I'm not a fan of the faster firing machine guns. On console, machine guns just aren't really that accurate, but on this I have Slideways. It puts 10 rounds back in the magazine, which is a lot for a machine gun, and then Demolitionist, so I don't have to reload it. So if I'm ever in any tight spots, I can just throw my grenade and still be able to run and gun without having to slow down for, you know, up to 3 or 4 seconds trying to reload this weapon. I don't like Edgewise, just because, again, I don't like the faster firing ones. I don't like the fact that they don't have that much range. And when it comes to 450s, there are plenty of knockback damage and plenty of just damage in general when you're in tight situations, such as right here, where I'm just having to keep running the entire time. Here's Mulligan, where I'm not able to land those shots that accurate because I'm just trying not to take damage. I would have been out of ammo if it wouldn't have refunded the ones that it did, but it was just enough to kill the target before I was out of ammo. Then again, the hop shots. So when you put all these weapons together and you're getting blasted at by enemies that can just kill you really quick, having all this agility and accuracy for my energy weapon. The machine gun is not that accurate as with any machine gun on console, but it's there basically for bigger type targets, or if I need to get a grenade back, I'll hit it like a red bar and just kill them, because each kill I get is 8 seconds off my grenade. So I have the Verity's Brow to go with the energy weapon recharge, and then I have my heavy weapon to also give me Demolitionist recharge for my grenade. So it's all about just making sure I have grenades to have fight back power and to throw my grenade just to reload it. The less I have to reload, the more I'm moving, and the less damage that I'm overall taking. And then situations like this always happens. There's a ton of harpies that'll come out, and you only got to shoot like 4 shots to pop their shield off, and then just finish them with a primary. That helps me save my energy from having to bust them off with the energy weapon. So I just use a machine gun in this Nightfall for really this specific reason. If I need to top a grenade off, or if I just need to pop off shields, pretty much. I almost use the shield break charge. Every time I bust any kind of arc shield, it also gives me charge of light. But when it comes to the boss fight, this last area, there's no enemies to really do that with, so I'd rather have the quick charge. So when I kill 2 of the Cabal red bars, it charges me and gives me health then, because like I said, in Master, you just have attrition. And when it comes to your super on the final boss part, I really recommend just saving that in case you're about to die. You can pop it and then get your health back to use Phoenix Dive during that, or if you're accidentally about to touch any of those lasers, it doesn't hurt as much when you're in a super. It's still going to hurt a lot, but not nearly as much. If you can slay the ads really quick when they come out, there's actually kind of a mechanic cheese you can do with this boss, where you start off right here. He always will come down to you, and then he always charges that left side over here. so you know to do damage to him, then hop up, and then again with the agility from the main ingredient, just enough damage and agility to still land those shots consistently. But just chill over here, kill all the ads, the boss will come over here to you, and then when he jumps down, you just jump back up and then head back to the left side, wait on him. You can throw a grenade too, so he runs inside of it when he jumps down, kind of throw it a little bit ahead of him so it burns him and he runs into it. He'll always jump down and then charge that left side, so you can just chill there the entire time until he finally is about to charge at you. You can keep repeating the right to left side, save your machine gun for when he does jump down, shoot him right here, he'll always come to that left side again, so just wait and bait him. When he comes over, just hit him, jump back up. He was about to die, so I just finished him off with the scout rifle. But that's how you beat him at the final wave. The first and second wave are the hardest ones to do, but the final one's really easy. Just slay the ads as quick as possible. But if you're looking for a great build for really any overload style Nightfall or any Nightfall where the health recover is turned off, this build works great whether you're using a Titan or a Hunter or a Warlock. Just use the exotics that I recommended. Verity's Brow for the Warlock, Hollow Fire for the Titan, Frosty E5 for the Hunter, and it really makes it kind of a walkthrough. You have plenty of ability recharge, you have defense whenever your shield busts because of the protective light, you have the quick charge, you have the stacks on stacks. Everything that you need in this Nightfall basically is there for you and at your disposal to beast with Guardian. But I'm ready to be over this sickness. I'd taken such a break off when I went back to making videos again. It was almost like I'd forgot the flow of how I do things, man. So I'm just kind of like out of it right now, but I should be back to normal in a few days. Hopefully this video helps you out, helps you, gives you a little bit of insight on slaying on this Nightfall. But like I said, it's not just this Nightfall, really any overload Nightfall with attrition or a nightmare hunt or anything like that it kind of works on. But you Guardians, take it easy. Thanks for tuning in and supporting this channel. Beast Squad, huge shout out to you bros. I highly appreciate you all as well. My name is Ristopoulos, and I'll see you all in the next video next time.
Space.